Hi everyone, welcome back to a modern Midwest homestead. We just finished eating supper and I decided I was gonna run outside and try to get this last garden bed put together before the rain moves in. But I thought that you guys might like to see how I put these garden beds together. I do already have all of my boards cut to the right length, so now it's just a matter of getting them put together. Now, I don't have any type of a workshop, so when I do these projects, I'm usually doing them on the garage floor, on our front porch, and today I'm actually doing this right in front of our garage because we have a fairly level sidewalk that goes right in front of our garage that happens to be the perfect size to build these long beds on. So this is how I make do with what I have. You can see laid out here in front of me, these long sideboards are cut to 114 inches long, and then my end pieces are cut to 36 inches long. These boards are 8 inches tall, so I have taken 2x4s and cut them to be 9 inches long. So that's gonna give me just a little bit of space that sticks out from the bottom. It will just go into the ground just a little bit to give it some stability. Now you could make them 2 to 4 inches longer if you wanted to, and it would be even more stable. But these beds, I'm not too worried about them because they're shorter and they're not gonna have as much dirt and as much pressure pushing on them. Now, if you like to do DIY projects, I'm going to tell you getting a good set of clamps is one of the most important things that you can do, especially if you work by yourself. A lot of times when I'm building projects, I'm doing it by myself, and having a good set of clamps is like having an extra set of hands. Now, we're actually gonna build these beds upside down just because it's easier to work with. So I'm gonna get my 2x4 and my 1x8 put together here. And the clamp is gonna hold everything where it needs to be while I put the screws in. And let's see, I'm just using these deck screws here. We try to do everything with star drive screws, and these are probably 2-inch screws, 1.5 to 2 inch. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So I'm just gonna use my legs to brace it and go. I don't want to go too far to the edges because the board could split out. And I'll just get it going here. And that is all there is to it. Then once I have these screws at the top, I can take my clamp off because that board's not going anywhere. Then I can lay it flat. One thing I have learned is that these old boards can be hard as rocks. Which means they are more prone to splitting out. So you really want to be pretty gentle with them if you can. You could pre-drill your holes, but I'm just trying to do this quickly so I don't run out of daylight. So I'm just gonna repeat that same process with all 4 corners. And then once I have that done, then I will set them up and screw the end pieces on. actually do screw it into the 2x4, not the 1x8, just because I know that is going to be more sturdy with less chance of it splitting out. So here I'll do one in the top and bottom. And then I'll put one in the middle for good measure. So this board is bowed really badly. So I'm gonna try to close this gap up, but if I close it up completely, I'm afraid it's gonna split the board. Now this is actually gonna be the bottom of the bed, so it will be down against the dirt. I'm not too worried about a gap here. Like I said, I really don't want to split my board out. So let's see if I can get it. Okay, see there, it started cracking. So I'm just gonna quit. There's a little gap. It's gonna be at the bottom. I'm not too worried about it. I'm just gonna stick one more screw in the middle and call it good. Okay, there we go. Middle of my sideboards, and I'm gonna add another 2x4 that's 9 inches long, just to give it a little more stability in the middle, because these beds are 9.5 feet, so they could use just a little extra support right in the middle. So I'm gonna use my clamps to put these on. Well, there you can see, this is how I've built all of the raised beds that we have. The ones in our cottage garden right up by the house are all made of salvaged wood that we found out in our shed. The garden beds actually out in our garden, they're built the exact same way, but they are with new lumber, just to make sure they're a little more durable. They're heavy duty, and they're gonna last a lot longer than these beds. But I'm not as worried about my cottage garden beds as I am the garden beds. Like I mentioned before, the way I built it, it's actually upside down. These 2x4 legs, they're about 1 inch taller than the boards. So when I carry this over to the garden, I'm actually going to flip it upside down, and those legs are going to go down on the ground. So I've got it spaced here, so I've got a nice path in between the beds. And then I've got it a path all around the outside. We'll have a nice path through the middle here. This is the other bed that I made. And then right here in the middle, I'm probably gonna add some type of a very skinny bed here. I'm not sure yet. So you can kind of see the design of the whole cottage garden here. I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with how it's turning out. Well, that took me right around an hour. I already had all of my boards cut to length and all I had to do was put it together. So factoring in the time that it took to measure and cut everything, give yourself 2 hours of time. Especially if you're a beginner, it might take even longer than that. We've built several of these, so it's just kind of a second nature to me right now. But definitely don't be afraid to use what you have. All of the beds in here are gonna be a little bit different. Some are gonna be taller, some shorter. Like I said, the middle one is probably gonna be a short, skinny bed, just trying to get some extra space. But definitely just experiment and try to lay it out and see what's gonna look right and work best for you. And you can save a lot of money trying to use salvaged wood like this. Now, it's definitely not perfect, but it's done. And on the homestead, done is better than perfect. So this is one thing I can check off of my to-do list. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions about the raised beds, you can drop them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.